Welcome to the HVAC Jerks with your hosts, Rich, Kevin, and Joe. You can email these guys at theboys@thehvacjerks.com.
All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to the HVAC Jerks. My name is Rich, and that's Kevin over there with the Rangers hat on.
Hello.
And we got Anonymous Joe sitting over here behind the screen. Are you here?
I'm just waiting.
You're waiting?
Yeah, because
waiting for?
The stupidity that's coming up.
There's no stupidity.
Oh,
There's just some really cool
absolutely.
Joe, listen, Joe, we take this very serious.
Yes, I know.
This is all about you.
I would understand that.
We
if
wouldn't.
Oh, by the way, nobody said anything about my nice new shoes.
You got nice shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take them off.
Check it out.
What else, Tom McCann's?
Black suede on the bottom.
Take them off. Let's put them up in front so everybody can see them.
Black
I'll
suede
put
on
them
the
up for
bottom.
you.
Are
On the
those Tom
bottom.
McCann's?
Absolutely
Well, we
not.
got you a hula hoop. I don't know.
I used to buy Tom McCann's when I was a kid. Yeah.
Tom McCann's the shit. How
Hey,
about
Buster
kangaroos?
Browns,
You ever had a kangaroo?
Buster Brown's ahead.
Kangaroos.
No
You ever had
kangaroos,
kangaroos?
no
Had a
kangaroos.
little coin slot on the sneaker. You
Coin
remember
slot?
that little
Yeah.
slipper? You can
That's-
put coins.
No, I was in high
A little
school when they
pouch in
came
it.
out. And, so,
Buster
Chuck
Brown's.
Taylors were the big thing for you
Yes,
guys.
I remember Chuck Taylor.
High basketball shorts.
so let's get down to the serious stuff here. Let's give
You mean
Anonymous
that
Joe his-
wasn't serious?
It was pretty goddamn serious. So we have to protect Joe, and,
Yes.
and we have an agreement with some people out there that we're going to.
It's been
Identity is key.
It's been decided by the council.
I think the higher echelon of protective people.
They told me what it is this
Yes,
week.
I think they did.
It's I don't know if I should whisper this, but Squishy Toe Sid.
Squishy toe Sid.
What?
That's very interesting.
That's what they
It's
say.
almost like a
No,
Squidward.
I refuse.
Squishy toe.
I refuse.
Sorry,
You
I
can't,
did.
man.
I
No, you got
object.
to come up with another one. That's ridiculous.
Squishy toe.
Squishy Toe Sid.
No.
Just one toe.
You got an
How about
investment,
just
all right?
fine?
How about just Sid?
No.
Well, you can refer to yourself as Sid.
SS.
You
Yes.
wishy toe
No,
Sid.
STS. Is that a disease?
You're going to lose this part of your show because I'm going to forbid it soon. You're coming
see
up
her next episode.
short.
Sexually transmitted STS.
Yeah, squishy toe
All right.
Sid.
Squishy toe Sid.
Sounds like you got
All right.
athlete's foot.
So this week we're talking about Here Comes the Green. And what we mean by that
Not
is...
the New York Jets.
Yeah, like it or not, the world is going green, and all the equipment we work on and the products we offer are ultimately going to be the way we do business is changing, just like Charlie Greer.
Well,
always
let's
said-
say why.
Charlie Greer always says, adapt or die.
Yes, but
Yeah,
the reason
coming.
we're changing is because the laws are changing.
The laws are changing, and whether we like it or not, that's happening. And it's tough for some of us, some of the older guys sometimes, to
First the bad
accept
name,
some of
and
this.
now you're throwing the old people under the bus.
well,
I don't understand.
So
The trolley wagon, the horse and buggy.
it's this is happening faster all around us. It's
Well, it seems to be happening veryast here in the United States, but
Yeah.
I think we were just talking off the show here beforehand, and it's moving.
it's a good thing we didn't record that.
It has moved in light years in
yeah.
the rest of the world. That
Yeah.
civilized the rest of the civilized world has moved very, very fast with this stuff. The technology is already above and beyond what
Yeah.
we're even ready for. We're still pissing and moaning about having a windmill in our backyard, and
Right.
you go to places like Germany and there's just windmills everywhere, and they love it.
Let's articulate.
You know?
Let's articulate why. Because they have no natural resources in mainland Europe.
Well,
Because
we didn't
Yeah.
either until just recently because
No,
we were
we've
buying
always
it
had
from third
something.
world
We were
countries.
buying it because we didn't want to dig for it.
No,
we
well-
have plenty of it. We just never.
We've got more. Yeah.
Now we have more than the rest of the world. So
I heard the statistic today, actually, is that right now we're putting out 12 million barrels of oil a day, and that's more than Russia's putting out.
Right.
And Russia's got
And
They
why
got a
am I
huge reserve.
Why am I still paying $3 a gallon?
because
that's-
speculators
you know,
control that. Not
Because there's
yeah,
only
that's-
one refinery,
Yeah, well.
and
no.
it's in New Jersey.
Going
and
back
that's-
to Europe, the reason they have to be so green is because
They don't have it.
when they get delivered oil, it's $5 a gallon or more.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
think about the whole
right.
natural gas.
quart,
thing.
right.
All the gas was coming from Russia. For
Exactly, and it's not
the
controlled.
Baltics and
It's
stuff, yeah.
garbage sometimes.
It's really dirty. And it's very
So yeah,
uncomfortable.
and you know the irony is, let's say the United States and Europe and the rest of, like you call it, the civilized world, and that doesn't extend to like China or Southeast Asia or a lot of these other places where none of those areas are following any kind of
don't care.
environmental protocol.
They're still using lead paint on toys,
Right,
you know,
so-
like they're not.
But you know what? Like you look at a place like China, they're actually building a lot of electric cars now, but they're just so much of their country is way behind the times. So they've got
Absolutely.
you know, a little
and
bit.
by
they got
design, too. It is,
5 billion people in one country. I mean,
So-
just what they're expelling in oxygen is a carbon dioxide
just,
problem.
just the
Yeah.
exhale alone
Yeah.
at any given second
Yep.
could probably change the footprint of the world.
Exactly. So
So the world is going green. Everybody's talking about being carbon neutral. So we were just before we started here, we were talking about we should probably give a definition of carbon neutral.
It's a new term to me, so I was asking for a definition.
Okay, so
there's going to be a new term when we have a carbon tax.
I got
Oh, it's
I got
coming. If you exhale, it's a penny.
it's
Learn to breathe slower.
all right.
Yoga.
So I put my glasses on so I could read the Wikipedia carbon neutral definition.
The Urban Dictionary version.
This is Wikipedia. It says carbon neutrality or climate neutrality or having a net zero carbon footprint refers to achieving net zero carbon dioxide emissions by balancing carbon emissions with carbon removal, often through carbon offsetting, or simply by eliminating carbon emissions altogether. And one of the other definitions talks about even offsetting those by planting trees. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a complicated definition.
So we're not talking carbon monoxide. We're not.
No.
We're talking carbon dioxide,
which is what you exhale.
So we want to limit that. So we want to plant more trees, which need carbon dioxide to function. I don't
Well,
know
they're
if you guys
basically
remember
like a
that.
giant filter.
Well,
Yeah.
they need carbon dioxide.
Right.
Trees need carbon dioxide to function, and for the photosynthesis to take place and
Right.
the production of oxygen as the byproduct of that. So all that has to take place with the need of carbon dioxide.
Yes.
So we're not allowed to exhale ever again.
Yes.
Nothing we burn. You can't have a fire pit when you go camping. You can't burn a candle.
I want to be careful not to get too political here because
This is not
we
political. I
gotta
haven't
be
picked a
careful.
side yet.
Yeah.
I
I'm
got
just
to
saying,
say again,
it's a little weird to me. I don't buy it.
well, just to bring up everybody up to date, in our last podcast, I talked a little bit about my company. My company's been so forward on this; it's not even funny. They're all about sustainability. The last CEO, which is still,
Sustainability, I get. Carbon neutral doesn't make sense.
no,
to
but
me.
they're getting to be carbon neutral. We're almost on a given daily basis anywhere from 80 to 95% off the grid to operate an entire factory.
which is
Really?
enormous.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I mean,
which is
it's
one of the largest.
So,
Well, one of the problems with all these things is that they're not completely efficient yet. I mean, even solar panels are like, what are they, 65% efficient now? And
yeah,
which
that's
is way
on
better.
year one.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I mean,
and year 18, they're garbage.
okay.
They fade
But
away
I mean,
to
that's
nothing.
way better than it was 20 years ago.
Right.
And
I mean, the technology is always going to get better.
well, look, as you guys know, they're closing our nuclear facility soon down here, and
Clean
what
plant.
that's
Clean
I
energy.
don't know what they're thinking, man. What are they going to do?
I have
you
no
can't
idea.
put that many windmills up. I don't. I mean, that's not my
I mean,
thing. I don't know how
okay,
they
so
do
we
it,
have
but-
hydroelectric coming from Niagara, but that's not enough to.
That's not enough. No, it's going to kill the grid.
It's gonna be like $5,000 a kilowatt.
Right,
down
and everybody's
here.
got computers plugged into every room.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Anybody
yeah.
who lives in a house that's
I think I'm going
60
into
years
the
old.
candle business.
You're right. Well, I don't know because you got to be carbon neutral. You can't be burning flames. You can't have open flame.
Well, it's candle, right? It's not that
Any
bad.
byproduct of combustion has carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. It's all part of it. So
So you're talking about, what are we going to do here in this state, in New York
Right.
State, and they, government.
I get
Cuomo
the
just-
angle, and we're highly populated. But when the rest of the world is not on board, this is something that
It's an exercise in futility.
Yeah.
Well, the other side argument is we have to start somewhere,
Somebody's
right?
gotta
We-
do something.
I agree. I agree. We can make efforts, but to just draw a hard line of stuff.
But my thing is, as you guys know, the way technology is going today, and it's moving at incredible paces because of the way computers compute and things are changing overnight. I think within the next 10, 20 years, even if we still have fossil fuels being used, they're coming out with more and more ways to clean the stuff, like carbon dioxide scrubbers over factories. Those things are in play now. They're only going to get better.
Yeah,
I think in the next 40, 50 years, our emissions are going to be so much less.
I agree.
Because of all the technology. And I've actually read some articles on some of these guys who are engineering this stuff are incredible, that they can have a zero carbon dioxide coming out of a factory burning coal.
Yeah.
Right.
So that stuff is all on the way and on the horizon.
I agree, but I will tell you this right now, and I'm not an expert in this field at all, but as long as there is fossil fuels to burn, we will be using them.
You know,
it's never going away.
Yeah, I like muscle cars too much.
Not going away. Well, you know, you think, and I'm just going to take this as an example. We just had a conversation last week, the other day, with Pam, and she's from Texas. My wife's from Texas. They are known for oil production and tapping into the ground and bringing fossil fuels up to the surface for us to use. You cannot devastate an economy in 10 years and just say we're not going to use fossil. It doesn't exist.
Our distinguished congressman from the New York.
I don't care what congressman you there's no distinguished congressman out of New York.
From New York City says we have to change every building in the entire United States within the next 10 years.
Otherwise we're all going to die.
Yeah.
We can't fill potholes on our highways, and they want to redesign the wheel.
But you know what? When they start saying stuff like that, and again, doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, you start telling me that the world is going to end in 10 years if we don't do all this stuff now. I've been hearing that my whole life.
Right.
I mean, literally since the 70s.
Okay, so let's say for argument's sake,
it was the end of the world.
Okay, let's say for argument's sake, she's right.
Exactly.
Right. Let's say for argument's sake, just a hypothetical. Let's say for argument's sake, she's right. It's is it insurmountable or unsurmountable? Insurmountable task.
Yeah,
to be done.
It's never going to happen.
So what would happen in the next 10 years would be absolute chaos.
Yeah.
No.
We would
How
have
long did it take to build the World Trade Center?
I'd be driving Ferraris through mall windows. There would be no law left if that was the case.
World Trade Center took how long?
Yeah, exactly.
How long did that take?
10 years?
All right,
3 years?
and that was a finely run operation at today's standards.
It's nuts. Just the idea
We had our union guys down there working hard. We had good people down there. We had our engineers and everybody busting their butts down there. And it took them, 10, 11 years?
It takes 5 years to get a building approved.
Yeah, more than that.
And permits.
Yeah.
The Empire State Building was built in 2 years.
Right, exactly.
2 years.
Yep.
It was built, and it still stands. And you know what?
Yeah.
The wind doesn't blow it over.
No.
Has air conditioning, too.
You know, no matter what we do, we need to keep moving forward and becoming more efficient for lots of reasons, not just the environment.
I'm all for it. I get it. Like, we want to lower our footprint. We also want to lower our consumption, like just in general, because I don't want to pay for more oil.
But again, I'm going to revert back to technology, and I can speak firsthand from my company because they do it already. They are into alternative energies. They're into making the products we do sell that use fossil fuel much more efficient. They're into that, and all companies around the world are on the same page. They're doing that because that's what's mandated in overseas markets.
Yes and no. And then this is where I'm going to go with this. And I agree with you on your company that you're talking about has done a fantastic job and probably leading the world as far as I'm concerned, as far as how they're going about it. Mm-hmm. But they're also coming from a place that is 100% supportive of that mode.
True, a good point.
That
well,
mindset.
Mandated.
But still,
but
the people want
of course.
The people want a windmill in their backyard.
No, I understand.
People here are still watching Jersey Shore. Like, they don't want a windmill. I want windmills, but not in my backyard.
Right.
I don't want to. Well, I need a refinery because I have to drive my Escalade, but you're not putting one on my shore because I want to watch the dolphins and I got to protect the seals and whatever, whatever the case may be. And I get it. Look, there's a purpose for everything and sustainability, and I'm all for it. Don't take this the wrong way, but in our world, in our mentality, that does not exist, and that is going to. It's a cultural thing. We have to change our cultural mindset before we can start changing buildings.
To Kevin's point, I remember, I won't probably say 10, 15 years ago, when Ted Kennedy had that big initiative for windmills.
Right.
And then they said, sure, we're going to put them right outside your estate in the ocean.
Vineyard or something?
Yeah, and he's like, no, we don't want to look at
the view.
But,
put it somewhere else.
If you think about when we were little kids, I mean, what energy usage was like back then as compared to now. We've come a long way in 20, 30, 40 years, whatever.
There was no limits. Levels. There was no regulation. We did whatever they wanted. Right.
We didn't need it because we weren't using.
Yeah, there wasn't even guards on a fan.
What did you have? Right? I mean, think about what you had. If you were lucky, you had a box fan. Maybe a TV.
But you know what?
One TV
that drew a lot of electric.
Well, that's what I was
your
gonna say.
refrigerator.
Yeah.
What else? Some lights? A light in one room that your mother would tell you to shut the 40-watt light bulb off?
My grandmother would make sure that every night before we went to bed, the TV was unplugged.
Unplug this, unplug that.
The 13-inch black and white TV I had when I was a little kid growing up used probably 5 times more than the 4 TVs I got in my house now.
I don't know about that, but,
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
the tubes, we used to take them out and use them as hand grenades as kids.
Yeah.
But every room has a TV. Every room, people have, I have 2 refrigerators and an ice machine in my house. I have a washer and a dryer. I have 3 bathrooms. I have 4 curling irons. I have 4 hair dryers. I have cell phones and battery chargers in every room. My outlets have battery plug-in, charger ports.
The last TV I bought was like a 52-inch or something, and you get the little Energy Star stickers were on there, whatever, and it said that you use $7 of electricity a year.
I wouldn't believe that.
Nah. 52-inch, $7.
Yeah, really. I don't care what it says. That's a bullshit lie. I'm telling you right now, if that's why you bought it, I got a bridge.
If you're using it in the laboratory 2 hours a day, it's only burning $7.
Yeah, there's tweaking the numbers there. So
my electric bill's low. My kids are out of the house. So.
Well, that's it, right?
Not my house.
Electric is a whole different world, and you can talk to electricians, all our Sparkies out there that listen to us, and anybody else that's in that end of it. They'll tell you, man. You look. What do you think the codes now are? Every 6 foot in a room, there needs to be an outlet.
Right. Yeah,
because they don't want extension cords.
Let's talk to that. Let's talk to that.
And you know how many companies? So that started to change. So that started to change, and that's because our electronics were not up to par. Right. So now we're now seeing LED and 120 hertz and things that are more electrically efficient. So we don't have extension cords, because there's one outlet in the room.
Well, but think about now when you walk into a staircase, the lights come on. Right, in a commercial building.
Alexa.
They spend millions of I'm talking about when you go out commercially, they spend $1 million to do these changeovers to save more than $1 million a year in electrical.
I just want to say one thing. Alexa, turn off the lights. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No more.
Agreed. Well, that was our technology. Use the flabby arms to smack them under the elbows. Yeah. So, but absolutely. So, I mean, I'm all for LED lights. I'm all for, I had a light bulb that can change 4 different tones. I could go from bright white to soft white to outdoor light to sunlight. And how cool is that? That's such a cool thing. And it uses a fraction of the electric.
But when it first came out, I hated them. I couldn't stand
because you're 100 years old and you don't like any new technology.
I agree with you.
Now I'm going to show you how screwed up our electrical companies are, because they're all pushing this, and I don't think the electrical companies want to push it because they want to make money, right? Because they have stockholders and everything else. I went and changed everything in my house to LED.
Yeah,
I paid a ton of money when they first started coming out. I paid a ton of money. One bulb was $15 to $20. Yeah. I was buying them by the outdoor, indoor. Yeah. I changed everything to LED. My TV was flat screen, LED, everything, right? I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on upgrading all the technology in my house. My next month's bill was higher than the last one.
Because now you get so much more.
It wasn't that I had more. I was one bulb, one LED. You take a 100-watt light bulb, 100 watts, and you can put in 10 light bulbs at 10 watts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's one light bulb that I was using. Now I'm using 10 light bulbs and getting the same amount of usage, but my bill's higher.
Right.
I got 10 light bulbs running now, as opposed to one, and I'm using more electric.
Come over and do the math at your house. So, all right, so let's talk about some specifics. Just recently, Governor Cuomo in New York here announced that they've got the Green New Deal included in their this year's budget.
It hasn't passed yet.
Well, he's got it included in there, though.
Well,
maybe
they will
not
pass it. It's complete Democratic House anyway.
I mean, they've been passing some radical stuff lately, so I don't doubt that this is going to pass. But that says that that mandates that 100% clean power by by the year 2040.
2040.
And enacts new Climate Action Council into law to making the state carbon neutral.
So I'll be rolling you guys out to the bingo table at the retirement home.
Yeah,
if my knee has been replaced,
I'm never going to a retirement home. Just so you know,
you are.
My kids know that when it's time for me to go, Just release me out into the woods.
You got a couple more years.
And then I'm good.
A couple more years. You
wander out there.
Me.
So they'll be by this weekend?
Maybe, yeah.
You're not far behind, brother. Like, Kev, can we go play bingo? We want to knit today.
No,
all this stuff is coming, though.
Tell us a story.
I have a feeling, though, it's just like anything else. Change is very, very difficult for a lot of people.
But you know what? Change is as radical as all this is. The actual implementation of it all is relatively slow. It's not like tomorrow everything's different.
Well, my friend, it says 2040. That's only 21 years away.
I know, but a little bit.
I mean, to maybe me and you,
about it.
It's not going to be a big difference because we're going to be on our.
Yeah, I'll be almost dead by then. So
hopefully
we'll
be
like 97
still around, but we'll be in our golden years.
Right.
But. You know,
the squishy toe will now be
squishy toe.
Squishy toe. Squishy toe be amputated toe.
Hammer toe
or hammer toe, exactly.
Squishy pants, hammer toe.
Petrified toe.
The problem is like when they're saying these stuff and people have to be mandated to make certain changes at home. What do you do with all the people who can't afford to do that?
They don't care.
Okay, let's talk about that. What happened in California just this week?
Everybody moved to Texas.
Aside from that, come on, the piece of paper I got with the picture of the guy in the solar panel here.
They got people living in the streets, and they're making people spend money to put solar panels
They're mandating it. They're mandating that all new construction moving forward as of what year? Just 2020. As of 2020, that all new construction in California has to have solar panels.
Is that going to be as far retro too?
No, just new construction.
All new construction. Well, now that the door is open, yes, it will. Well, it's just a matter of time.
Because you're going to see a lot of knockdowns and leaving one wall up.
They'll change that law too.
In this article, they talk about how that's going to add a minimum of $10,000 to each house built.
Minimum. It's $10,000 for the panels.
That's what I would think. I would think it's got to be more
than
that, especially
labor
in California, how much they make out. Yeah. And all the permits and everything else.
You know what they're going to do is they're going to stop the production of new houses. It's just going to get to the point where it's just too expensive to buy a new home. People will not do it. Between duct testing, duct sealing, ERV systems, and climate control and UV lights, and by the time just in our HVAC world, never mind the electrical, they're making the foundation guys ground with electrical wire all the rebar that goes into it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
So it gets to a point where all you're doing is spending the end user's money because the contractor's paying it forward.
And the people changing the laws are not considering, it's one thing if you're making $300,000 a year, but the guy is making $50,000 a year trying to buy a first house and trying to get his family off the ground.
It's over. Yeah, they're not buying new houses.
They don't take that into consideration.
The new houses are not. And when they let big companies like Toll Brothers and stuff like that go out there and just run willy-nilly, that's a problem.
It's one thing, I think, for companies that are building houses out there to put all the stuff in there, and people want the stuff and they want to pay for it. I think that's great. I think it's great that they can move forward with technology and make it more efficient.
I have a problem with
when they mandate it.
I mean, we're gonna make this a political show because I have a problem with any government mandating anything.
I agree, but
I think you're taking away the rights of people to make their own choices. I get it. I get what they're trying to do, but I think the more we give up, the more they're going to take.
I feel that way too.
Once you open the door.
Yeah, but you can't have no regulation either. No regulation doesn't work. There's a happy medium in there somewhere.
It worked for 150 years.
That's a whole nother show, and I don't think.
West.
Let's put the Spurs in there. That's right, buddy.
So let's talk about somebody. Let's go a little different direction here. Let's start talking about some of the organizations that are promoting all this and how guys can actually get involved with what's going on. Now, aside from whether you like all this, advances in technology and efficiencies and all that, whether you like it or not, it's coming.
See,
so
look,
if you want to be involved,
my point of view is this. Okay, the majority of society seems to think there's global warming. What they're saying is
climate change.
What they're saying is climate change, right? They're saying a consensus of the world scientists have determined that this is what's going to happen.
Okay.
Number one, there's not a scientist in the world that works off a consensus. They have to have proven fact and scientific evidence in order to make that true. Okay. There's no consensus. There's no opinion. It's fact. They go by. They don't go by theory,
which is why they said that that's not.
Okay, so there's no model. There's no model to choose to be able to prove this theory, and I get it. It's
a hypothesis. It's
right, and it seems to be the way
educated guess.
But let's argue. Let's argue on the sake that it's absolutely true. Let's say it's absolutely true. I think where we fall short is that the governments are taking the role to take over as opposed to capitalism, as opposed to the business community come up with the solutions on their own, because if there's a market, somebody's going to come up with something, right? And somebody's going to come up with the fix that's going to revolutionize everything.
Right. Okay, so if the government says you need to do this,
I get it. The government regulates it, but why not it be voluntary? Why not it be something that we initiate on our own? Why does it have to be at a penalty?
What I think is that there's nothing that you're talking about we can affect on this show. What we can affect.
Sure we do. We have a voice that other people are listening to.
Yeah.
They have their own opinions.
You get people to get off their butts and go vote differently or talk to their congressman or whatever. But
I know what you're saying is we have to deal with the issues at hand because the laws are being passed. My concern is that these laws are being passed. I get it. They
I'm
made it.
I'm concerned with that too.
Yeah, I'm concerned of like they're going to say, well, you don't need an acre of land either. We're going to have to take a half acre from you.
Yeah.
To put up windmill in your backyard.
Right.
You know, what's next? Well,
intimate domain.
Where does it end?
I don't think. I agree with you. I think there's a danger there, and we have to be careful of that.
Now, when I drive upstate New York, it's windmill farms everywhere you go.
That's true.
They've taken agricultural from the farmers, and they're paying them to have windmills on their land.
To backfeed the grid so we can send it to the city.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody south of where we are wants to see them in their backyard.
I mean, if you look at his proposal, he's looking to do offshore.
Yeah,
he's going all offshore.
We could ask the Clintons to donate a portion of their property in Westchester and see if we can.
Let's pull back from the political stuff a little bit, but
you can't. This has everything to do with what we're talking about.
I agree.
It's totally political.
Let's just assume that all this stuff is happening, and whether we like it or not,
I think in general, the general consensus amongst Americans or any person is that we want to do the right thing.
Yeah,
right?
we want to be clean. We want to be efficient.
Clean and being efficient, and not consuming more than we really need. Within reason.
Who doesn't want a clean environment and doesn't want to be efficient?
It's just a common sense thing. Like it's a no brainer, right?
Yeah.
We all want it, and so I get it. Like we're all on board with that, but there's got to be practicality. It's got to be implemented properly. It's just not something you could say in 10 years it's got to happen, or you can't mandate and start forcing people. Like Joe said, financially, people can barely hold on to their houses now, and they're making ends meet. And then you're going to say, well, you want to do that addition on your house? You need 17 solar panels, and $27,000 later, you can't start doing that stuff. And they don't care. They don't see it that way. They see like, well, we're saving the world, and I need votes. So when you get into that situation, it gets a little hairy.
And when you see the $1.5 billion investment and a $200 million investment,
it's nothing.
The irony is, it's like they're not reaching in their pocket to grab it; they're reaching in my pocket to grab it.
Yeah. They're getting it from other sources.
That's the biggest complaint I always have is they're not looking at the practical part of this. I mean, that's great; they want to do.
There's
all
no
this
practicality
stuff,
to any of this.
But again, I want to take this back, and I want to talk about two organizations that our audience is going to be dealing with on a regular basis, or can be if they want to get involved with this. And one of them is more of the engineering side of it, and that's LEED, which is leadership in energy and environmental design. And those are the guys that determine the standards of what high efficiency means, and what can they do. These are the guys putting green roofs out there. They're growing grass on a roof somewhere.
Yeah, way
that
to go.
Kind of thing.
Do it. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, if it works, why not?
Hell's yeah, it works. So, we know it works.
So that's one organization that sets a lot of these standards.
I don't know why they're not doing that more often.
They set the bar pretty high, and that's great. But that's not our audience as much. Our audience is more tied into something like BPI. Right?
How do you spell it?
I forget. I don't know.
AHR.
But BPI is a Building Performance Institute. And if you want, I'll just read a quick little thing about them. They were founded in 1993. Institute is a national standards development organization for residential energy efficiency and weatherization retrofit work. So this is to make existing houses more energy efficient. They've got lots of different certifications.
So anything under a strip mall.
Pretty much
anything residential housing.
I know to become a BPI contractor is very difficult.
It is difficult.
Right.
I've been looking into it recently, and I've taken some of the courses, and there's a lot of them, and it's not that easy. It's
a hard test to go through. Yeah, absolutely.
There's courses to take. There's tests to take.
This is as a small business owner. one of the biggest problems that I've had is, you know, when you look at something like that is, again, you know, I got to look at what's practical. Yeah, I have that thing that Joe was talking about a couple shows ago called a mortgage. Yeah. You know, so I have to generate money for myself and my family, which is my most important, drive. You know, I have to make sure that that's done. When you start getting into BPI, we're talking about that next level of money, with that next level of clientele, that, you know, the people who have the money to say, you know, like, I want to entertain that as an option. Right. You know, do I want to go BPI? Do I want to get that really intense, energy efficient home?
There's a market for that.
There is a market for that, but not the market. It's not there every day. It's not your every day.
That's not the mainstream market.
You can't sit here in the Hudson Valley and say that that's your market. You'll do 2 jobs a year.
I'd like to hear from somebody like Mike out there, HVAC reefer guy or something. You know, give us a call and let us know what's going on.
Is BPI big out there? I mean maybe it is. I don't know. But up here, I'm telling you right now that there's more residential homes that can barely afford their mortgages than there are people spending big money on retro.
I agree.
You know,
I think that
BPI standard homes.
BPI is as popular as it is.
Even Energy Star, for that matter.
You can't say it's really mainstream yet, because it's not the majority of what we're doing every day.
The elite. The people who have stupid money can afford to do that on a residential level. The 10,000 square foot house that's being built with a basketball court in the basement that's over the pool.
Maybe,
you know, those people are doing BPI buildings.
But you know what? As the millennials come up, like we were talking about recently, I think they're going to be more up on this kind of thing, and they're going to be looking.
No,
for this
the millennials are renting. They're not buying houses.
Yeah, they're going to buy houses eventually.
They'll buy them at a small level. You know what they're going to buy? Old houses. They're not buying new construction.
And then they're going to look for them to be more efficient. They're going to look for the BPI home advisors or auditors and all that.
They can look at it. They're going to look at it. And I understand that, you know, we just had this conversation not too long ago about millennials, and, you know, but they are price savvy, right? So they're going to look at, you know, yes, I want to be socially conscious. I want to be, you know, in tune to the world. I want to understand my footprint. I want to make a difference. But at the same time, I don't want to waste all my money.
What's going to happen, though, is the bank is going to say, if you want a mortgage on that house, or if you want to renovate your home and you want a mortgage from us or a construction loan or something, you have to be BPI certified. Just like now when you
so now it's another mandate.
It is another mandate,
right, which comes with
just why you need a bank inspection, right, before you get a loan or mortgage. Before they approve it.
Same thing now. When you need a permit, you got to have a
So we're just going to force people to spend more money, and when you force people to spend more money, they will retract.
No, they won't.
Yeah, they're just going to spend more.
Why? Do people not have car insurance?
People have car insurance.
It's mandated.
It's mandated to have the minimum car insurance.
But you have to have car insurance. You have to have it.
Tell you, this
so you have to buy the best house. You can't just buy a house. You have to buy the best.
Yeah, but
house.
It doesn't matter. That standard is going to be across the board.
So people will stop buying houses.
Yeah, but
that
you know
may
what?
be.
It's a cultural thing.
And it's already being said, and Pam talked about it weeks ago. So they're renting.
The guys like us that are more likely to do our own work and hands-on are going to be more resistant to this type of thing than the guy sitting behind a computer who doesn't
People
typically
can't
do his own
afford houses
stuff.
now with pink insulation. You start talking spray foam as an option, and they're like, you know, $15,000 to spray foam on top of what it would cost to do pink? Yeah. Forget that. No way. You're going to force them to do that?
It's going to be a cultural change,
house.
And it's going to...
Yeah, when the code changes that you can't use
the codes are going to change.
Fiberglass insulation anymore.
They'll change themselves out of business. They'll get to a point where they're not going to be able to do it.
I also said that when they brought in stage 2 vapor recovery in New York State for gasoline back in the late 80s. And, oh, my God, we couldn't pump a gallon of gas without the nozzle going off 15 times.
Right.
It was like, oh, my God, this is never going to work. There's going to be an uproar. Meanwhile, this is
exactly what we were just talking about, the solar panels in California. They're mandating that on new houses now. So, they're going to mandate it, and that's what's going to happen. You know?
Okay. I think you'll see a resistance in the sales of homes.
I agree with you. I think
people are going to say, why spend the extra money?
It's like the
when
dog.
I can live in an apartment complex.
Yeah, but you got to remember,
that has solar panels.
It's going to be the entire society as a whole is pushing that dog theory. You keep teasing that dog, sooner or later that dog's going to turn around and bite you. Right. And this is and we're the dog, right? Sooner or later, we're going to say enough is enough. We can't. We
just can't sustain it. You just can't sustain it. Sooner or later, we're going to go broke.
Well,
we can't
the problem
just keep living up to these mandates.
Well, the problem is one party thinks that it's right, And if you're not agreeing with that party, they don't even want to talk to you anymore. You can't have a discussion.
I don't go in and have conversations with my customers about their party.
I'm talking about.
And when I tell them that the town is mandating that they have to do all these additional things, but if you live 2 houses over, you don't have to do them.
Well, listen, I'm going to talk to you in relative short terms. 25 years ago, when I was in my gas station. In that particular community, you couldn't cut a tree down on your own property that you pay tax on.
Still can't.
Without going to the board.
We could choose not to live in that town or that state, though. I mean,
but that's the point. You're spending all your hard-earned money to buy something that you physically have no right over. You can't paint your shutters this color.
But you know what?
I mean, come on.
That's not for me. But there's some people that want to live in a place where you're not allowed to paint your shutters pink. They
don't
that.
care.
They like the regulations.
That's not their interest. Their interest is other things.
I get that. But still, to take a right away from a person.
Here's the thing. If it exists, it's because somebody wants it. There's a market for the pink, or you can't have pink shutters.
And that's why you just brought me back to my point. I think at the end of the day, if you let business and the open market take care of this, it will. It doesn't have to be mandated. I think that the need for, yes, I get what you're saying. It's the regulations that are promoting these companies to go in those directions. And maybe that's a good thing, but
we're all moving to Texas.
But what happens when they've reached these things and they reach these.
Then they make them harder. They keep
exactly. It never ends.
I got builders that are pulling out of building houses.
Yeah.
They're just done with it. They're done with it.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get to mandated solar panels.
No.
We're mandating duct testing. Yeah. He goes, I got to pay the HVAC guys so much money.
Well, that's why I got out of the business. I got out of the business.
He goes, no, it's more than that. It's more than $1,500. He's talking spray foam. They're talking ERV systems, climate control. Right. He's talking $25,000 additional. It's right out of his pocket. Now you have to add that to the house and then try to sell it to the guy.
Yeah.
And then you open the door and defeat the purpose anyway.
Yeah,
it's
don't put any air into the house, but you got to drill 6-inch holes to bring fresh air in and out.
Right.
But we don't want it to leak.
And use more electric, so that's a bigger carbon footprint. Right. Doesn't work.
So it's asinine, and to mandate and force people to do it. I think if you incentivize and you give people a reason to do it, which people are already motivated, and if they can afford it, give them something in return for their efforts. But to mandate it across the board that everything like solar panels.
I'm going to speak to his point. I'm going to document it right here, right now.
That is being said. Squishy Toe speaks.
Squishy Toe is going to tell you that New York State had rebates all across the state for residential homes for thermal solar. That's to make hot water.
Okay.
Right.
We couldn't keep enough solar panels in stock. One customer bought $1 million worth in 1 year.
Right.
Okay?
Because it was a kickback.
The minute the rebate stopped,
boom,
it went away.
Dead.
Well,
dead market.
You know, electric cars too. And not that that market died, but it definitely slowed down.
But the people who can spend it want to be incentivized.
Well,
if you go to that same guy that bought the $1 million worth of stuff and said, "Well, I'll give you $200 back on every piece of equipment you buy," so $200 back on, or whatever. So let's just say it's 10%.
Right.
So he gets on $1 million, getting $100,000 back. Right. This is a guy who's very money savvy. Right. But now you go and say, "Well, we were going to give you $100,000 back, but now we're going to make you do it." What do you think that guy's going to do?
Yeah,
he's going to go to Ohio and build the building.
Yeah,
he's not going to stay in New York.
Yeah.
He's going to go somewhere else where there's no regulations.
Yeah.
You can't force me. I'll do it if it makes sense. And
you can talk about this with something as simple as pay raises or mandatory minimum wage. What do? They say, okay, we'll raise it to $15 an hour.
But then they don't hire anybody.
No, then they go to automation and get robots to do the job for nothing.
We're all about energy efficiency, and I think it has to be. Again, we have to implement it.
Sense.
Here in the United States, and this is what we talk to because we don't really know what else. We know a little bit about what's going on in Europe, but. When we talk about higher SEERs, and we're all about it. I try to promote it all the time. We talk about 96% furnaces and boilers, and we're all about it because it makes sense, but it's practical. Because I could say to you, it's only a couple bucks more, or it's this much more. Plus, there's a little bit of money coming back from our local, gas company or government, or if something is giving you a little bit back to take the edge off for that leap. Right. And I can sell that in a way, not to be aggressive or whatever, but I could present it properly, and they could go, you know what, that makes sense, and I understand it, and you know what, I voluntarily want to do that,
right.
And I don't have any kickback from anybody saying, I'm not doing it.
It's only a little bit more money.
It's a little bit of money,
and they feel good about buying something green.
But as soon as you mandate it,
I feel the same way.
You cannot go in there and say, well, if you're going to change your boiler, it has to be this.
Yeah, I mean, look at the luck they had with the Affordable Care Act. They mandated it, right? And it was a disaster.
Right.
I mean, they can't run the post office.
Well, the government sucks at everything.
Right.
So you just, when it comes to the federal government, they just suck at whatever they do.
The free market will dictate what happens. I think, look, speaking from an entrepreneur point of view, this is good for business.
I get what Rich is saying. You need some regulation. I think you need to, put something out there, try to aim for a goal. Strive for something.
You need to create
but it needs to be practical. It needs to be practical.
Yes.
You're talking 20 years, we're all going to not have lights because we don't change our buildings. We can't build a one building in 10 years. You want us to redesign an entire New York City.
I'm going to be lighting
the whole United States.
Whatever, just
the whole United States.
It's so asinine and ridiculous to even think in those lines.
To say it out loud, they should have made her give up her pin for being a congressman.
The bottom line
is ridiculous to think that it's going to happen that fast.
This is what's happening now. This is what we're dealing with. We got to learn how to deal with it one way or another.
It's a good thing in moderation and in time. People can't afford a big jump. You can't make major leaps.
This is a gradual.
You got to remember, we're talking to people on all sides of the fence here, and some people are going to be all for this, and some people are going to hate this. But
I don't hate it. Listen, coming from the culture of my company,
I don't like the speed at which they're trying to force it to happen.
Coming from the culture of my company,
they're trying to scare people into an idea that doesn't exist.
But again, coming from the culture of my company, it's something that they did on their own.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah,
I'm all for that.
And again, that's the whole
world
point,
leader,
right?
World leader. That's why
we're doing it because it's right. We're doing it because it works better.
Yep.
We're saving people money. We're saving the environment. We're doing all the right things. But we took the initiative, and we were the part of the infrastructure in Germany to say we're on board. We're going to take We're going to take the lead on this thing.
Bull by the horns here.
We just don't want to be forced. That's what we're all saying. We all want clean environment.
We are the land of freedom, right? We're supposed to have free choice. And when the government comes in and tells you have to do something.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
We're gonna get some fan mail on this, I'm sure. But
Joe's in a rush.
Anti-fan mail.
He's waving his fingers.
All right, so let's wrap that up. You want to hear the end?
Joe loves the end.
Choice do I have?
This is the epilogue.
This is like the mandated by the government. I have no choice.
It's like the end of a bomb pop when he gets that stupid
just
little
rip the goddamn Band-Aid off already.
Stick.
Squishy.
It's like pulling that Band-Aid off a little at a time.
He's like down to that last lick, and it says, "What do you use to count cows?" And he licks a little bit further, and he gets all that lemon juice off of there, and it says,
"Oh, please,
calculator."
God, shut up, John.
The good old days.
All right, join us next week when Anonymous Joe, also affectionately known as Squishy Toe Sid, considers moving to Wyoming until he found out that they only make espresso using freeze-dried instant Sanka.
Oh.
It wasn't worth the wait. I mean, it just wasn't worth the wait. Number one, if I was moving to Miami, I'd be going there fully stocked or whatever.
We couldn't remember the chock full of nuts theme song. What was the Sanka theme song?
All right, thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. Join us next week again, and in the meantime, catch us on the
Facebook, Instagram, website, the HVACJerks.com.
Thank you. I was losing my place there.
We're on YouTube, too. Check out the YouTube. We're live and rolling. We're going to have some cool videos out there. We got some Milwaukee product coming up. We got things we want to put out and keep people in the loop. Yeah, we finally put our episodes out on YouTube now, so you can actually see what's going on here. Like this hula hoop right here.
There you go. We started out with just some sound and some smoke and mirrors or whatever for our first few episodes, but now you can actually see what's going on if you guys want to join us.
We're just as ugly as we sound.
Anyway, hey, one more thing I wanted to mention real quick, an email. I want to mention this, and we don't normally mention too many emails, but I got one from...
My name's Kevin.
Dandilio07. And this guy wrote us an email and said that he loved the show and all this, and we said we were going to send him something.
Why wouldn't he?
and then we didn't send it.
Really?
So I don't know what happened there, but so I got an email from.
What's his address? You want to? What's his phone number?
You want his phone number?
Yeah.
I got a social security number here too.
Well,
but
I
anyway,
just sent some stuff out. So
okay, I sent you this the other day, and I don't know. We'll have to talk about this later on and see if you actually sent it out or not, because you were away when I got this. So I want to make sure.
Yeah, I've been a little busy.
I was embarrassed that we missed this guy because we don't usually.
Things got out there, stickers are coming, bro.
Sorry, Dandilio.
We appreciate
You're going to have them before you hear this episode, I think. And then Dandilio 07. We got you, bro. Don't you worry.
So, all right. Again, send us an email at the boys at the HVAC Jerks again or .com, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and we won't send nothing to you either.
Peace.
You guys are jerks.
Follow the HVAC Jerks on Facebook and Instagram.